So welcome to this video, and in this video I'm gonna basically show you exactly, the new keyword research kind of update to the Google Sniper manual. And we'll be covering, various things, including the new Google keyword tool, which is now replaced with something called the keyword planner. And I'll be going through examples. I'll also be talking about the new kind of updates in terms of, keyword selection, checking competition, important things like that. Okay, so as you all know, Google Sniper is all about creating mini sniping sites which generate kind of recurring income over a long period of time, usually up to a year or even longer. I've got many sniper sites of my own which kind of have been earning me for over 2 years now. So the kind of the core essential in doing that and having a successful sniper site comes at a very early age, and it's all to do with keyword research. Now if you have poor keywords and you're setting up a sniper site with uh, kind of keywords that are wrong or don't have the right criteria, it's very hard to actually make a profit. So this is a very important session right now. Now first of all, as in the original Google Sniper manual, which will be updated shortly, um, we recommend you use the Google Keyword tool. And as many of you know, that the Google Keyword tool has pretty much been retired by Google themselves. They're no longer using that, and they're using something called the Google Keyword Planner. Okay, and let me just show you what it looks like. This is the Keyword Planner. So when you actually log in to Google AdWords and try to get onto the keyword tool, you'll see that it's no longer used, and we get redirected to something called the keyword planner. And this essentially is the new Google keyword tool. Now, at first, I did have my doubts about it. I thought that it was kind of generally directed to pay-per-click and not really used for us snipers, that is. And after more experimenting and digging, I found that it's pretty good. The only kind of significant changes are the user interface, and you don't really get to select what type of keywords that you're planning to use. Now, in the actual manual, George recommends that you kind of look for phrase match keywords. Okay. Now, the only difference with the keyword planner is that it only focuses on exact match. Okay. And what is the difference? Well, phrase match and exact match, there's a small difference in terms of basically when we use the keyword planner now, the keywords we're looking at are the exact match. And what that means is that when people type that into Google, that is the search result that they will see. Okay, that's the exact search, that's the number of exact searches that happen for that keyword. Now, before you could select broad, which we never kind of used, phrase, which was, kind of not exactly an exact match, but it would be kind of sort of the same kind of thing within a phrase, okay? But exact match means the exact specific keywords. And in fact, I found this actually even better than phrase match. Now, the disadvantages of this is slightly harder to find a good keyword, simply because exact match, the results that they show in terms of how many searches there is going to be slightly lower than phrase, but it's going to be much more accurate. Okay, so this is what you're going to be using in terms of the core basis of finding keywords for your sniper sites. And as you can see, this is the keyword planner. And all we do is click on search for keywords and add groups, okay? Now, if you were on one of my previous sniper sessions, you may have seen that, I went and used a tool called Uber Suggest. And I recommend you all use it to, find suggestions of good keywords. It's ubersuggest.org. Okay, and once you go into the site, you'll see a little captcha here which tells you to enter, a unique kind of word or serial of numbers. And once you've entered that, you can search for anything. So in this case, what I searched for was lose belly fat, a very common kind of word. Now, with common words and common kind of phrases for my sniper sites, I found that it's become kind of more difficult to rank for just because, there's more competition. So with Ubersuggest, they practically give a ton more suggestions for that kind of keyword that you're looking for. So when I looked for lose belly fat, if you actually have a look, they give you several different ones, and you can expand them. So for example, we have lose belly fat fast, lose belly fat men. And if you wanted to expand the word and see what other suggestions is, if we click the little green plus sign, you can even see even more suggestions, okay, of the keyword. Now, let's see. What I wanted to show you today was a quick example of how I would use the keyword planner, okay? So for example, if we just take, just for example purposes, if I just copy lose belly fat and stick it into the keyword planner, okay? And my targeting is set to the US because that's where I'm targeting. Obviously, if you're in different countries, you can use different, you can change that by simply removing the default. And for example, if Victor was looking for Sweden, we'd just enter Sweden in. It's pretty simple, and you click add. Okay, but we don't. For this example, I'm not going to do that. Everything else I keep kind of default. I don't really use and edit anything else, and all I do is hit get ideas. Okay, so this is what the new kind of keyword tool looks like. And don't be too confused, it's nothing too different. They've kind of simplified what you're looking at. They give you kind of graphs to show kind of the trend in searches and how many searches there was in the last 12 months, as opposed to kind of, the exact month that they did previously. And they give you an average of, the monthly searches for that particular keyword. Now, what we want to do is click on keyword ideas up here. If I click on that, you will see that the term that I search, lose belly fat, appears, okay? And average monthly searches show that on average in the last 12 months, it's been getting over 18,100 searches per month. And these are exact searches, okay? You can see on the graph here, February, April, June, it's kind of much higher than December, and that probably correlates with the new year, people starting kind of their what's it called, their mind's gone blank, their yearly, what's the word, completely forgot, resolutions. Sorry Rafi, thanks for that. So basically this is this is basically when after the new year people start with their resolutions, and a common one is to join the gym and whatnot. You start seeing people to head to the gym and find ways to lose weight after lots of festivities and kind of parties and things. And through summer it gets pretty high, and so this is what it shows us. Okay, it shows us also the competition for that keyword is high. Now this is kind of talking about, if we look here, this is more so to do with paid ads, okay? And don't be put off if it says high anyway. It just means that there's kind of a demand for that keyword. Now, this is kind of a competitive keyword anyway, and therefore the competition is going to be high for paid ads. And it's not relatively a bad thing. A good thing with keywords is high competition, because that means there's kind of lots of demand for it, and a lot of people searching for it, and a lot of people are paying Google to display ads for this keyword, which means that it's essentially profitable, right? Okay, so we see over here average CPC. So if we click here, um, average CPC is average cost per click. Okay, and what that means is on average, $1.62 is how much advertisers pay Google to advertise for this word per click. Okay, so you can tell that it's kind of pretty profitable if someone's paying $1.62 just for one click. Okay, there's profit behind it. It means that it's kind of lucrative right here. So we're in the same kind of guidelines, all right? And that's a good thing, right? But obviously, from experience, I know lose belly fat. If I just type that into Google, and if I just put my quotation marks, I can see there's over 11 million results. Okay, and this is massive. This is a ton of competition on people who are focusing on ranking this keyword right here, lose belly fat. There's over 11 million competitors, who are focusing on this keyword. So obviously, in that case, it's pretty hard to rank for. Now, as some of you know, I prepared this little document, and it's kind of excerpts from the actual manual itself. And this is what George wrote. He wrote, the rule of over 3,000 or at least over 2,000 searches per month is just because, quite simply, I don't see it worth my time to pursue any keywords with less searches than that. I don't want to fight over pennies, and you don't need to either. We want to create sites that make over $300 a month, okay? And he goes on to say, as a minimum, I'd go for at least 2,000 searches per month on your main term and let other marketers fight over pennies. And he's personally found, anywhere from 3,000 searches to be kind of the sweet spot. Now, in recent times, I would say in 2013, 2014, and if you heard me talking about keyword searches on other videos and whatnot, or other training, you've seen that I've kind of gone lower than that. Okay, and it's very, very dependent on the actual keyword itself. Now, just because a keyword has less than 3,000 does not mean that it's not an effective keyword. And you got to think about it logically. Okay, so I want to give you an update. This is an update on current sniping, the current status of sniping, and the keyword research, etc. What I've found is that I prefer a minimum of 1,000, okay? But it's not in concrete. And I find that when you're searching for keywords, look for kind of keywords that are roughly 1,000. If it's slightly below, it's fine. If it's higher, then that's good as well, okay? Usually, anything above 3,000, you will see a lot of competition for, which will make it much harder to rank, okay? So in my experience, what I've seen and what I recommend to you guys is look for, kind of 1,000. Let's not put a minimum. Let's put approximately 1,000 searches. Let's put approximately average monthly searches of 1,000. Okay, let's make that a bit smaller. Okay, and that is what my recommendation is, and I'll explain why. Now, as I've seen that every year that goes on, the kind of keywords which are very common get more and more competitive, and you've got to be creative with your keyword selection. So what I found is that even though I'm giving you a recommendation of 1,000 searches per month on average, okay, which is what we should aim for, I'm not saying kind of ignore searches which are only 700 searches per month, okay? The reason being is there's two variables here. First of all, we are now using the keyword planner which uses exact search. Now, exact searches give lower amounts of monthly searches than the previous phrase search. Okay, so if lose belly fat was a phrase search, it would be probably in the 20,000, 25,000, that kind of range. Now, because we're using the keyword planner and they only use exact searches, already, it's going to be reduced. Okay, it's much more targeted, and it gives us a more accurate read of how well this keyword is searched for. Okay, um, so going back to what I was saying, let's pull this up. The aim is not to earn immediately $1,000 per month, okay, or 3,000 or 5,000. We want to start off small, and what a conservative kind of aim is to make each sniper site earn $300 per month, roughly. It can be three, can be 400, can be 200, whatever. Okay, as long as it's earning, you build it once. I mean, there's a little bit of maintenance with it, and it can keep earning, and you can, crank out a couple of sniper sites when you got the hang of it. So we're not looking for these, very high search keywords. And obviously, the second thing that I wanted to say, and the second variable that I was talking about, is the first one was exact searches. Okay, the second one is the type of keyword. Now, because we're, in the kind of affiliate and internet marketing space, what I find is with a lot of students, they're kind of boxed in to thinking about the kind of common niches. Okay, we're talking about weight loss, we're talking about forex, we're talking about make money, and these are very common, kind of very, very competitive niches to go into. And what I wanted to say is, depending on the keyword that you're choosing, okay, it might be a high value keyword. Now, I'm going to give you a gem here, and I'm not going to give you, it too. I'm not going to. The thing with me is, I don't want to give you the outright kind of keyword itself, because I know there's going to be a ton of people who are watching this who will try to basically go and rank for that keyword, and it'll basically kill off my sniper site, and it will just produce more work for me, right? But I was ranking for a keyword which was for what was it? It was, how can I explain it? It was like a laser. It was a laser thermal machine, and I'm not going to tell you the exact keyword, but the searches were roughly about 300 to 400 searches a month. Okay, so it was like 10% of the original recommended amount that you should search for and pick. And it was like 300 or 400 searches, but every time someone bought it, the commissions would be in the hundreds of dollars, um, stretching up to $300 to $400 per commission. Okay, and there's a big difference with promoting kind of the common products, which, where you earn a commission of $30 to $40 for, as opposed to like a high value item, such as this laser cutting machine that I was ranking for, and it made me, per sale much, much more, but the volume was slightly lower. Okay, so that's why I say don't disregard keywords that fall out of this criteria that I'm giving you, or the original criteria, um, and don't ignore them. Just make sure you test them. Um, and yeah, does that make sense to everyone? Okay, good. Okay, so what I want you to note down is that for your keywords, try aim for about 1,000. I think that is a common and something that works for me. Okay, and it should definitely work for you. And I would also advise you to remember that when you're looking at the keyword planner tool, average monthly searches in general will be lower, okay, than you originally found it on the Google keyword tool. And secondly, you got to kind of analyze the actual keyword itself, because if it's a high kind of high value keyword or a high value niche where you can earn a lot more money, then you can kind of subsidize and take on smaller volume searches. Okay. So the next thing that I wanted to go through is keyword competition. Now, obviously, both things are affected, and as every kind of month and year that goes by on the internet, there's going to be more competitors, more people going online and basically kind of populating the web with more sites and are ranking for different things. It gets a little bit harder. Okay, so hence why I want you to kind of think outside the box and don't go through the kind of common niches that are always referred to in internet marketing, such as the ones I kind of mentioned before. Kind of go for low key, kind of out of the box things that won't be ranked as much. Okay. um, don't bother ranking for things like lose weight fast and things like that, because it's pretty much impossible unless you're going to dedicate a year or two kind of hammering on at just kind of search engine optimization and trying to outrank other sites, and it's very hard work. What we want to do is kind of rank kind of obscure, um, profitable keywords which don't get in anyone's way, and we're not competing with the big dogs, but we're going to still be making a healthy profit every month. Okay. So moving on to the keyword competition, obviously that correlates with what I've just showed you before. So if we looked, lose belly fat, like I said, it has 11 million, competitors, and that is huge. That is massive. Um, the original one was 13,000 competing websites. Okay, that was the original Google Sniper kind of recommendation. Now, in 2013 and 14, what I found was, I can rank, a sniper site, and I have done it personally myself, with keywords with competition of up to 50,000, and that's being conservative. I've actually done, quite well. I wouldn't say quite higher. I've done like 70, just under 100,000. I've been able to rank top spot for. So what I want you to note down now is kind of, if I just change the wording of this, ranging from 50,000 to 100,000 competing websites. So that's what I would recommend. So 50 to 100,000 competing websites, and that's from my personal preference. Okay. Um, Again, it really depends on the actual keyword itself. What I tend to find, again, another variable, like I was saying, is if it's a high value kind of keyword and niche, I'm willing to basically put in a little bit more work. Okay. um, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but the benefits, you're going to reap the rewards when you're ranking top for that keyword. Okay. So what I found was 50 to 100,000. Now this is much higher than the original recommended keyword, competing websites searches that you should originally look for. But in this current climate, this year, and moving on to the next year, I would range up to 50 to 100,000 keywords. Um, Obviously, if it's lower than that, that's completely, that's even better. But depending on how experienced you are, if you're, well, let me see. If you're looking to build your first sniper site, then maybe just do it under 50,000. The reason why I say that is because for people who've never built a sniper site, they like, it's a common thing with everything. Um, uh, Almost like a snowball effect. Okay. So the reason why I said you can do lower than 50,000 if it's your first sniper site is that the ranking will be easier to get your sniper site in kind of the top spot and whatnot. And once and I'm not just kind of discriminating people who've never done this before, but what I found is people and students who have never seen kind of results before. They're really kind of motivated, inspired to kind of take on more challenging things, and that's when you can kind of increase the competing website criteria to, like, 50,000 up to 100,000. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so what I want you to note down, okay, it's quite important in your notes section, whether it's on a pen and pad or you have a Word document, is to basically 1,000 searches, keyword searches, and keyword competition. Let's make this smaller. 50 to 100,000 competing websites, and obviously, below 50,000, that's good as well. Okay, so let's go back to the keyword tool and let's search for some keywords. So let's put in learning how to play guitar. And let's see what they suggest in this Uber suggest. Okay, so here's my kind of common protocol. Okay, so if we go for learning how to play guitar for kids, okay, and if I go and hit get ideas, now this is another aspect of the keyword planner I really like, because when you enter, when you actually enter your keyword into the keyword planner and you click on keyword ideas, they actually also give you, some suggestions themselves. Okay, and you can see for this there was not enough data, probably because there's too many small words in there. But learn to play the guitar gets about 880 searches per month. Okay, let's have a look if there's any other good keywords that we kind of pull out. So we can see like keywords that are kind of similar to what I typed in. There's only 10 searches, so this is not a very high demand kind of keyword. Now let's just see how many competitors for that, just out of interest. So this is also very high competition. I mean, there's 366,000. Okay, this is way above the quota that I gave you. So again, I mean, this is not a particularly good keyword. It's only got 10 searches, and there's over 330,000 competing websites. So that wouldn't be, a good keyword, all right? Let's, let's look at some other keywords that we can get. See, I have a gut feeling, just from experience, that these keywords are quite long-tailed, and because they're so long-tailed, there's not going to be many searches for them. So let's search for something else. Let's go for um, hmm, uh, intermittent fasting. So this is intermittent fasting is a way of like kind of losing weight, and it's almost, where you don't eat for a certain number of hours and you eat, and it helps you lose weight. Um, but I'm wondering if there's some cool keywords that we can pick out here. because I know this is like kind of a common trend right now. I've seen it quite a few times pop on like health blogs and stuff. So let's see what the keyword tool kind of suggests for us. So they have, okay, so something like this, intermittent fasting meal plan. Sorry, guys. It has about 400 searches per month. Okay, no one's kind of bidding on that, which is a kind of indicator that there is no kind of way to profit from it. But don't kind of don't kind of disregard that and make sure you go through all the searches. Okay, so we found that this kind of fits in our quota, right? 52,000. Okay, and we found that there's 400. You see, I would not ignore this. I would investigate this keyword a little bit more and see if there's any products. And what I do is I actually go and click on, the top couple of blogs and see if they're kind of promoting anything. Okay, and as you can see, this is pretty cool. So intermittent fasting, this guy ranks top. He doesn't even have a proper website here. Okay, he's using a blog spot. So when I looked at it, what I noticed was, even though he's not promoting a specific product right now, and it's kind of loads of content, what he is doing is, he's integrating Amazon, okay, where he can profit from, people purchasing things from Amazon. And Amazon have, if I go, we just click this. So say that, I clicked on this ad here, which is a calorie counter, kind of, very targets to the actual person who is looking for intermittent fasting, because it's all about, eating a certain amount of calories at a certain time, etc. And say I bought this, the person who owned the site would get a profit. Now, the cool thing about Amazon is that, unlike ClickBank, the only way that you can profit is if you promote a product and someone clicks on that product and they buy it, you get a profit. And if they buy something else from ClickBank, you don't get a profit. With Amazon, okay, you can kind of basically still profit from the person who went to Amazon. Say they kind of didn't want this calorie counting scale, and they went on Amazon and they were browsing for other things, and say like they found a DVD randomly, or they bought a bike or something, you'd actually still get profit. Sorry, you'd still get commission from it, because Amazon have kind of a global cookie, which kind of cookies onto their system for 24 hours. So what I mean is, say a customer, or a visitor to this site clicked on this. If that person bought anything from Amazon for the next 24 hours, that person who owns the website and who owns the affiliate link would get a commission from it, regardless of what it was. Okay, which is pretty cool. And we don't kind of, this is not offered in many networks. Okay, now if you want to sign up for the Amazon affiliates, if I can track it down, it is okay here. So if you go into the footer of Amazon, you see become an affiliate, and you basically, can earn up to 10% of the advertising fee with Amazon. Okay, it's pretty cool. All right. So does that make sense to a lot of people and what I've just kind of gone through? What I'll do, guys, is I'll make this into a PDF, and I'll put it below this video. Okay, and when you watch this video again in the members area, you'll have this PDF so you can refer back to it. Okay. But yeah, this is what I wanted to go through today. And in summary, so let's go through and backtrack through everything we talked about. So Google Keyword Planner, what you're looking at right now, is the newest replacement to the original Google keyword tool. And the only difference with this and the last one was this is all exact searches. Before we kind of use phrase searches, but now it's exact searches, which means that the search volumes are slower, but it's much more accurate. Okay, and this also gives you loads of keyword ideas, which is pretty cool. And we found a cool keyword that I'd love to investigate a little bit more. Okay, and probably look through some other ones. Let's have a look. Let's go to average monthly searches. No carb diet plan is a pretty cool one. And what I do is, after I've kind of investigated the competition, the searches, see what the other competitors are doing and what they're promoting, I would obviously look for kind of, products to promote. 9 times out of 10, if there is no ClickBank product that covers, intermittent fasting, let's, if we just do a common search program, I'll type in ClickBank. I wonder if there's one. Okay, so I've just already found, click here for more. I've already found a product that fits with, intermittent fasting, okay? And it costs 37 bucks. If we go down, don't know where the affiliate page is, but you'll probably find this on ClickBank. So say we actually, did intermittent fasting and we ranked our Google Sniper site, we could essentially promote this product on ClickBank. Now, say that you couldn't find a product on ClickBank to do with, your niche. 9 out of 10, with Amazon, there's always going to be products which that you can go and promote that is related to that niche. Okay, so as you saw before, that person, if we go this person here who ranks first doesn't promote a ClickBank product, but they've chosen to kind of promote, Amazon products. Okay, so that's all I wanted to go through today. Kind of the new updates again. Average monthly searches of approximately 1,000, but I wouldn't discount keywords with 300, 400, 500, 600 searches at all, depending on the keyword, of course. So it's not specific and exact, but if it's a high value keyword, then obviously I would consider it. And in terms of competing websites, I can range from 50 to 100,000 depending on your skill level. If you're starting, then try aim as close to 13,000 as possible. And yeah, that's about it for the actual keyword update.